6 of them have come out in that time. So here we go. Brands Hatch. About to actually do, this is like the first little tutorial race. Now I'll just admit to something just off top. When I first started this game, I pretty much played every Gran Turismo there ever has been. I won't say that they've been, in heavy rotation every single time I've had it. There have been a few that I've really stuck to, played a lot, and there are a few I've played just here and there. I don't usually drive from this view, even though I realize it's pretty much the most simulation-like view, but I just usually don't. But I said I'd go ahead and try it just to start out. Also, another thing, I was used to the brake being used on with a different button on the controller. So it took me, obviously, a lot of times we don't read instructions. We should read them, but sometimes we don't. We just dive in and we go back and read them later. So on this first run, I hadn't realized that the brake is actually, by default, it's the square. So for some reason, it felt like the brake should have been either one of the bumper buttons or circle or something, but it's not. It's the square. So in case you find yourself in the similar situation as me, just know off top that the brake is the square. So this first little run I went through, and I think I might have, and you know what, if I had just looked at the screen, I would have known that, right? But I didn't. I had my eyes focused completely on the road, and not even so much the road as I just hit a wall. But you can look at it. Look at this. I mean, just looking at this, you can just see graphically this game has to be pushing PlayStation 3 to its absolute limits. I mean, I'm not going to try to tell you that it looks like a next-gen game, because it doesn't, but to compare it to a game like Forza or whatever, I think from a visual standpoint it's not probably, it definitely is. It's unfair because, you're working on different hardware. But as far as a current-gen game, period, I was going to say a current-gen racer, but as far as a current-gen game goes altogether, I think visually this one is quite impressive. Quite impressive. Without giving up too much of what I discussed in the review. I'll definitely say that. Look at the backgrounds. Look at that. Look at the lighting there with the clouds and stuff. And I'll bring this out in the interview as well. Not the interview, the review, because one of the things we don't necessarily notice the environments in racing games, because you're focusing on the road. Like I was so focused on the road, I didn't even look to the left or to the right to see that the key was pretty much there, telling you how to brake and how to accelerate. But you got to look around, and then after you do a race, look at the replays. When you look at the replays of your races, that's when you really get an opportunity to see just how accurate and how cool and how deep the environments are. These are all of the makers of vehicles, and it's broken down by region in the world. So the North American vehicles, the Asian Pacific vehicles, and European vehicles, all of those things are listed here by the maker. I'm a Chevy guy, so I went to look at the Chevy, but this is the tutorial aspect, so they haven't pretty much loosened everything up for me to look at everything yet. So they want to direct me to show me how to buy vehicles, so they're pretty much only letting me buy this Honda. So I'm going to buy this Honda, but after I buy the Honda, then I'll be able to do a little bit more. So I need to, but I just wanted to kind of just show you, look at all of the pages of vehicles. I think there's, I want to say 120 new vehicles. So there was over 1,000 in Gran Turismo 5, but it's just continuously adding. I don't know if it's going to be as many vehicles in the PlayStation 4 version. I hope it is next year or more, but we'll see. So for now, this is what happens when you buy the vehicle. It's a similar screen. Pick the color, and then you can look at it in the gallery where you kind of get the little showroom spinning in the middle of nothingness kind of look. So that's what we got here. Now, this vehicle is real ugly to me. Somebody probably got this at home and like, this is not ugly. It's ugly. It's ugly. It's like, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But starting off, this is what you got. Now, the one thing that I do like, there's a lot more direction in the way the game. When you first pop the game in, it's from the very beginning. It's giving you prompts, directing you how to, it gets you pretty much in the action quickly, and it gets you pointing in the right direction in terms of going through the career mode. Before, I used to feel like sometimes with Gran Turismo games, you're just kind of like in the middle of the world, and it's just like, which way do I go? What do I do? Where do I go? Where do I go first? But this time, it's not like that. It's a little bit more pointed, and I actually appreciate that. So I just bought my first car. Let's see, each car has a performance point rating, gives me an idea of its overall capabilities. But of course, certain cars are better for certain races or certain types of events. And unless you just kind of know vehicles like backwards and forward, you're probably not going to find out unless you look at the ratings or you test them out. You kind of see, hey, this car isn't handling well. Doesn't turn well enough for this particular course or track. I need to get a different car. So because I hate that first car, I'm going to buy a different one. I think it's going to be the CRX 1.5i 83. It's old. A Honda. You can look at it and tell it's old. It looks like something from somebody in, I don't know. It looks like, I don't know. It just says 80s all over it. You know what I mean? It just says 80s all over. It's like one of the cast of Three's company would have drove this or something. But back in the 80s, I'm quite sure it was a beast. So we're going to go with this one. This is my second purchased car. Now, I have really just become a next-gen fanatic. I play it a lot. The only current gen stuff that I still touch, really, is WWE 2K14, NCAA 14, and MLB The Show. And I won't be playing that anymore on current gen once the new one comes out. Now, in order for me to still deal with a current gen game, it's got to be pretty good. Now, I've been playing this Gran Turismo most of the day. I also played it when I went to the race event. So I got an opportunity to play it then, and I liked it. And I'm liking it even more. There's a lot of little different things here to see. So I don't know. I'm not going to say yet that I'm going to stay glued to it, because that's just my personal thing. I got a lot of games, and just really depends on, which one's really going to hold and grab me. But we'll see. This is the high-speed ring, and this is the Sunday Cup. This is like your first little basic event. And obviously, the difficulty is not going to be all that high for this one. It's only 6 cars in this on the grid, and we're going to see what's going to happen. I got my little 83 Honda raring to go. Another thing that you might recognize, and I'm quite sure Gran Turismo fans will appreciate this, the loading times are significantly shorter. I mean, like, significantly. The last Gran Turismo I had, Gran Turismo 5, I believe, I could be wrong, but I want to say the initial load time just to start playing was like at least 40 minutes or something. It was nuts, right? I mean, and once the game loaded, you were like, oh, wow, this is pretty dope. And there was some cool stuff there. But wow. I mean, it was a long loading time. Nothing like that this time. Pretty much everything that I showed you right now, I didn't cut like any loading time out. This was pretty much it. I popped it in, and it was ready to pretty much to play. There's some things that are caching and loading in the background, which is real cool, which is actually like a next gen type of a feature. And you see I'm hitting the wall because I hadn't started breaking yet. But hey, bad things happen sometimes. But yeah, I mean, that's like a next gen type of a trait, because the next gen games allow you to play while loading. And this one essentially is letting you do the same thing. Look at the lighting effects on the car, and you see that immediate bright sunlight when you come from under the tunnel. That's pretty tight. I like that for sure. I really like, if it's like as with motion, you can look in the background, and this really generally does look pretty real. It just it's I don't know. Because things are moving so fast. Of course, you don't get an opportunity to see that the fans in the stands are primarily 2D or something like that in regards to characters or whatever. And hopefully, you never know. On next gen, maybe you see something different than that. But if there's any genre of sports game that you can get away with having 2D fans, it's absolutely a racing game. Because, I mean, 9.5 times out of 10, when the fans are even visible, that you're speeding past them. Oh wow, the Sunday race just got hardcore. I'm passing you, player. Bye. So yeah, I'm firing up. I've made it in the first place already, and I have had a hard time braking. Period. But this is a track that has so many straightaways, and also on top of that, my car is like ridiculously better than every other car in this in the race. I mean, I have a lot of room for error, which I have made sure to make them. I've made sure to make my share of errors here, but yeah, I've had, I just got a lot. You just look at the distance just being made on the straightaways. That just automatically shows you the overall performance, the push of the car. It's just, I got them faded. I got them faded with the 83 Honda, killing them. But I actually do have somebody right on my back, but as soon as we get into this straightaway, I'm going to make some distance. Going ahead and blowing through the finish line there, finishing first. That was the first race. I didn't have to replay that or nothing. It's first race. Yeah, shoot off the fireworks. The first of many. I earned my trophy. I did an article actually talking about how many trophies there were. Man, I'm forgetting how many there were too. Wow. I want to say there might be 57. I'm not sure. I might be wrong on that. What I'll do is I'll put the link to the article that announces the trophies in the description. But yeah, there's a good amount of trophies, and they break it down for pretty much just about every type of task or whatever that you can accomplish in the game. Being it on the career mode, unlocking the ending movie, and then there's an extended version of the ending movie that you can unlock too. Pretty cool. Now this is what I was talking about though. This is the race replay. I don't know how many people that play racing games actually take a look at the replay of the race. In my opinion, for me, in order for me to really truly appreciate the overall game, you gotta watch this. I mean, this is when especially once you start getting the better cars. I mean, these are like the cars we got out here now, like 6 soccer mom cars or something. I mean, this is not really, you're not really doing much with these cars. But once you get into the better cars, not watching the race replay is like crazy to me. I mean, the replays in racing games are not like replays in Madden or whatever. You don't have to watch those. Sometimes the person that wants to watch the replay gets on your nerves in those games. But, man, you really need to see the parts of the races where, the person that actually won made their move, the guy who finished second, the mistakes that he made that cost him second, or whatever. You want to look at this, and then on top of that, it looks awesome. I mean, it looks awesome. If you want to pick up all of the positive things about the game from a visual standpoint, you can pick them up there, but you can also pick up some of the negative stuff. Because when I'm looking at this, I'm seeing more of how the crowd is just kind of looking a little bit bad when you go past them or whatever. And then that could be me spoiled on next gen. I mean, might not have even paid as much attention before, but I mean, the fact that this still does look like this looks to me and has this impact on me, and it is a current gen game, is pretty impressive. So definitely, you can actually switch some of the views, or you can let it kind of cycle through the camera views itself. I like to let it cycle through because it just feels more like a TV style broadcast, and for the most part, that's what I'm always looking for in any kind of sports game. Now, obviously, Gran Turismo is not a traditional sports game like, say, Madden or NBA 2K or MLB The Show, but there's the frame of reference is still like a NASCAR event or something like that. And when you watch a racing event on television, you're gonna see all of these different camera angles. And so when I go back and I look at the replay, that's the way that's the feel that you get. And I think this is something that I think is pretty much a necessity when you have a racing game. So if you've been skipping replays, at least watch one. At least watch one. It feels like it takes a little while because you're just kind of sitting there, you're not doing nothing, but it's pretty cool. At least get one in. You can see a little bit of car damage there on the top. That's one thing. I wish there were a little bit more realistic damage. I think Polyphony Digital, which is the company that produces the game, I think they leave out like radical damage to the vehicles on purpose. I think that's like a choice. I really wish it wasn't. Like I mentioned in the article, in the review, I know it's not burnt out. I know it's not like Grid or anything like that. We're gonna see all these spectacular crashes. It's a different kind of a game, but these are still cars, man. And if I hit a wall like 2 or 3 times, I was going about 80 miles per hour when I hit it, I think I'd have more damage than what you see there. That's just me. I don't know. But that'll about wrap this up. Like I said, it's about my first, a little bit less than 20 minutes, but about my first 20 minutes with Gran Turismo 6. May drop one more video. Y'all stay tuned for that. Also subscribe, follow. Peace.